Hello everyone, it's Jane Mamoni. Welcome back to another scrapbook process video. This video is a collaboration with the creative design team and we are celebrating fathers. If you remember last month, we did our collaboration on celebrating mothers, and this is the layout I created celebrating me as a mom. And then I also created this little half page, which is a Pocket Plus page. I apologize for the glare there, but this is how I fit a lot of extra photos. And so the other side is what I'm going to use for my father's photos. So I'm going to get this out of the way, but I wanted to show it to you because this is going to be the other side of my double page spread. And so I wanted all of the father's page pictures and embellishments to match. Now, these are all of the photos that I had printed, plus these that I decided to use on the 12 by 12 page. And I also had a bunch of leftover from my layout, so I'm going to try to fit these on as well. I'm going to get a little creative with that. But I'm going to have extra. These are all extra that aren't going to fit on the layout, so some I'm going to put in that Pocket Plus. And then we're going to get creative and figure out even more ways to get extra photos on with more interactive elements. So this is what I've done so far for this page. I decided to do the 3 larger photos in the middle because these are photos that my husband really loves and they represent him as a dad. And then this one is actually going to be on the top in the middle with a flip flap. So I've used these flip flaps quite a lot, and we're going to use that again. So that is going to go on the top. It's going to flip up and reveal this. So he loves beer. We've got a couple of beer photos. This is at one of his favorite breweries. This is the Seattle skyline behind him. We used to live in Seattle and we went back to visit. We love it there. We love hiking. We love snowboarding. So this is really him in a nutshell. And then the photos across the top are he and my daughter from baby to pretty current. And then my son from baby to fairly current. So I have them roughly laid out, but I'm going to do a little bit of extra because for this layout, I had this background paper. And if you look at the back, I gutted that out. So I have some of that, but it's not quite big enough to do this background. So I used this same ledger paper to make it cohesive, but I did a black background because I didn't have another full piece of this, but I'm going to still use this over here, even though it's not in the same way, to just bring that same element over. And then this In Full Bloom collection, I'm not going to use all the butterflies and probably not the sparkles and flowers. I don't want it to be as feminine as this page, but still draw over some of the elements like the chipboard shapes and the same colors so that it still looks like a cohesive 2-page layout. And then I matted the Lagoon on this one as well, so it has that similarity as well. So when you create a companion page for a layout that's already done, don't feel like it has to be exact. Just bring over some of the elements to make it cohesive. And of course, I also have a lot of the 2x2s. Now, if you're wondering how I printed my photos at 2x2 and 3x4 and 4x4, check out the video up in the top corner because I created one a couple weeks ago showing how I resize and print my photos at home. I printed these all at home on my Epson PictureMate 400. I absolutely am in love with that printer. It's new to me since Christmas 2021, so I'm really enjoying it though. So I'm going to move all of these photos out of the way and we'll add them later, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to work on my Versamat just like I normally do because that really helps me line things up. I cut this paper down to 4.5 by 4.5 for this one. I'm actually going to take this photo out so I don't get confused because that's the one I want on top. So the one I'm actually going to glue down is this one. And I did this one as 4.5, and these ones as 4.25 in height by 3.25 with a 1/8 inch border all the way around, and this has a 1/4 inch border all the way around because of the flip flap, because this seam over here gives an extra about 1/16 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch to the overall width. So I still wanted to be able to have this down and still be able to see that border right there. But this doesn't fit quite all the way across with the border around all the photos. So what I'm going to do is just sneak this under and just tuck it under a little bit. So I still have a little bit of a margin on this side. I think I'm liking that. And then I'm trying to think of something to, I think these are going to go kind of like this, staggered, so that it's a little bit more than just a straight line across. Maybe not that much, maybe just staggered a little bit. I'll probably bring this down. So my halfway point is right here. If I really want this centered, I need to bring it down so that's about center. So I think what I'm going to do is add a little mat around each of these. I was thinking that I could add a Lagoon border. Now these are just 1/16 of an inch. I did really small mats. But I think that is going to be too busy with the Lagoon and then the Lagoon here. So I'm going to ink. So I've got my Lagoon ink pad out. This is the old style. The new style has a nice magnetic closure. And I've got my blending brush. I like this brush when I want a real soft hand at the blending, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm starting the brush right under where the photo will be because that's where the ink's going to be a little bit harsher to get that initial ink off and then kind of blend it out. So I'm going to go up in the areas where the photo is either lower or higher. And once I get all the way across, I'm going to realize that I actually want even more ink. So like that one, the photo is lower, so I'm putting the ink above, but I decided I want to go a little bit below each photo too. So I'm going to end up doing that. It looks like a hot mess when the photos aren't there, but it looks really good when the photos are there. So you'll see it in just a moment when I'm going to remove all of these photos. So I did the same thing across the whole page, and it looks really awful right here, but you can see that it really makes a difference with the photos down and helps them to stand out on that light background. I'm using a black shimmer brush now to add some splatters. It looks like a lot of splatter, but again, a lot of this is going to be covered up, so I wanted to be sure I had enough to really stick out from behind the photos. This is another element from the left-hand page that is going to match. And then I brought out my chipboard elements. These are a really nice laser cut chipboard, it's like a thin chipboard, like a paper board, and they're laser cut really, really well. They just fall out of their carrier sheet really nicely, and they're really high quality. And then I have some of these die cuts that are also from the scrapbooking kit that I had used, which unfortunately the In Full Bloom collection is mostly sold out. There are a couple of things left still, like the pocket cards, but it was a really, really popular collection, so most of it is gone now. But of course I wanted to use it so it would match that other side, so I'm sorry for showing you something you can't get anymore. But you can still get a lot of the things that I'm using, like all of the page protectors, which really are the star of the show, and just wait until you see the end of this video to see how interactive everything is. It really comes together really cool. So I'm just tucking things here and there underneath all of these photos. And now I'm going to add in some hearts. There are a few different size hearts that I'm adding. And that big one I keep trying to fit, but it ends up looking too heavy compared to everything else. So I didn't end up using that, but I just keep trying. This little leaf cluster here is too big to tuck behind 2x2 photos, so I'm just cutting it apart strategically so that I can kind of reshape some of those little leaves and make it look like it's 2 different pieces. Actually, I think I end up making it 3 different pieces to tuck behind these smaller photos. And I end up doing that with a lot of these pieces, some of the other leaves as well. They're really easy to cut. They're not too thick. Now I'm going to bring in this sticker sheet, and I wanted to use this Happy Times sticker for the title. So I should have thought of this earlier. I didn't really leave a place for the title, so I'm thinking that it's going to go below the big photos. I'm putting some anti-static powder to make them not stick, but I get them all down and then I realize I'm actually wanting to move everything down. So I unstick those middle photos, move them down a little bit so now they're slightly below center, and that gives me the space to add the title there. And I added a little heart in between the two words. So I'm liking how this is coming together. I fuss with my embellishments forever and a day. I've mentioned that in my videos before, and I end up cutting a lot of it out, but I do like to keep some of it in because I know that it for me, I like watching people embellish. It's kind of soothing, and it's nice to see the thought process and embellishment process. But we'd be here all day if I kept it all in. I just moved things ever so slightly. So I wanted to bring in a few of the leaves from the sticker sheet as well to bring in a little more green. I have some green in my photos, especially that one in the bottom middle and the big one on the right, and then my husband's wearing a green shirt up in the top. And so I actually had that in mind as I was placing the photos on the page, is making sure that all of the colors are evenly spaced, because that's another way to make sure your eyes are moving around and looking at all of the photos and making sure that none of them are missed. So this little leaf here, kind of like that black die cut, was too big, and so I just cut it into two pieces and was able to strategically still cut it and use the second piece as well. And I'll just kind of tuck it under these leaves so you don't see where it was cut, because it wasn't perfect. Now I'm ready to glue everything down, and this is the same trick I did on the other side of the page, on the left-hand page. Because some of those black chipboard elements are underneath the photos, I wanted the whole photo to be raised up so that it was even. So here I'm just cutting little pieces of the negative space of that chipboard sheet, and I'm going to glue them in the opposite corners of this photo where I don't have anything already tucked under. So going to do that, and then as I'm starting to glue these embellishments down, sometimes I like to just lift up a little corner so I'm not lifting up the whole thing, and I make sure that it just stays in place. I like using the Barely Art Glue. I've mentioned that several times because it's got that really skinny nozzle, and it also doesn't clog, and that nozzle is nice for kind of sticking the nose under and getting under those embellishments so you don't have to lift them up all the way, as well as just gluing onto little skinny pieces. I love that glue. So anyways, I've got that in place, and then this one doesn't have anything under it, so I'm just going to use regular ATG and get that in place. I do reach for my tweezers a lot on this page because there's so many small elements. It's just really helpful. So here's a closer look at how that turned out. I added some aqua enamel dots, just like I did on the other side, and that pretty much finished it off. So I'm going to stick it in the page protector and then choose some pocket cards. This one here has some journaling lines, the ledger paper, and it matches the ledger paper in my background. So I'm going to trim it down to 4x4 so that I can put it in the flip flap with my photo and have a little spot for hidden journaling. This is a 4x4 flip flap, and you want the adhesive side up. And then since this is going to flip up, we want the background to be upside down. So then once this is pushed in, you lift it up and it's right side up. You're going to peel off that little backer, make sure your page is all the way in, and then make sure all pet hair is off. And then you're going to line it up with the photo beneath it and simply stick it down. I like to then lift the flap up and make sure I burnish it in so that all of that milkiness of the adhesive goes away and it just turns clear. I really love using flip flaps. I think they are such a fun and easy interactive way to add extra photos or journaling. And then these Pocket Plus inserts are my next favorite way to add more photos. So we're going to work on these pocket cards now. I chose the 4x6 pocket cards that I want to use. I kept them pretty neutral colors because I wanted this to be more masculine again, and most of the pocket card is going to be covered up with the photos. So the way I'm placing these photos is I'm paying attention to color. I'm putting the brighter colors with the brighter background on the darker paper, and then the darker backgrounds onto the lighter paper. I really liked this better together sentiment that was on one of the pocket cards, but it wouldn't fit as is. So I just took a circle die and cut it out, and it's going to look really cute in the end. Then I decided that I'm just going to reuse the back of the pocket card that is on the other side, on the mom side. So I'm going to kind of readjust these photos and put this better together down there. I trimmed all the photos down to 1 7/8, I believe, or it might have been 1 15/16. Put them all slightly askew so it would look a little bit fun and whimsical. I love how many photos I was able to fit on here, and then just wait until you see how I added some 6-inch page protectors for even more interactivity and tons more photos. So this is what all of the pages look like when they are in the album. Pardon the glare, but I wanted you to get a feel for how this all works, because look at how fun and interactive this is. I'm going to walk you through this in just a moment, but all of these kind of inserts are sandwiched between my two 12x12 layouts. So here's the layout that I created in the Celebrating Moms video, which again is linked below. And then we get to this 6x6 page with a 4x6 flip flap. So it's really fun. I took a 6x6 page protector, which, by the way, it will fit in the 12x12 album. There are 4 holes, so it will work in the 6x6 album or use the outer holes, and it fits in the 12x12 album. And you can even put it up here on the top, wherever you want. It's just like this really fun interactive element. And then I used the 4x6 flip flap, and I was able to add 12 more photos. So on the inside, I decorated it with some pocket inserts. This is a 4x6 and a 3x4, and then I tied in this kind of word background again, and it says "It's a Beautiful Life." I thought that was perfect. And then I've got my journaling spot because I didn't have any journaling space over on this layout. Now I can add it here. I added a couple of stickers on top because this was just black and white, and a few other embellishments to tie it all in. This paper here is from the mix-in, and then this is actually the back side of that. So I've just got one 6x6 paper in here, and then another pocket card that's hard to see, but it's under there with the black and white stripes. And then another little butterfly. This polka dot paper is a little bit louder than I wanted, but it was the back of the other one I wanted to use, and I figured, well, I'll just go ahead and use it so I'm not using more paper and just get the most out of that. So this was really fun. And then this is the Pocket Plus page that you saw before of the mother side, and then we've got the father side that I just created. So this is kind of like the divider with mom all on this side and then dad now all on this side. So this will go right here, and then we've got another 6x6 with another flip flap. So the flip flaps come in packages. Let's see if I can actually grab the correct package. So here's the 4x6 package, and half of them come with a sticky on the long side and half of them come with it on the short side. So you can, you have options, and they can flip up or they can flip out to either side. So that's how the 4x6s come. They come in lots and lots of sizes, even down to the 2x2. So I could have even put some on this layout to have some flip flaps here, but I just decided I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have all of these fun interactive inserts over here. So this one, I actually have 24 extra photos. So I had more photos of dad with the kids. So I've got my daughter with him on this piece here and on the inside. And then on this one is my son with him, and the back is with both kids with him. These pieces here are just scraps from this ledger paper that I had trimmed down from the side, added a few other embellishments, and I used that same die set, which is This one here, it's the uppercase and the lowercase simple serif alphabet dies. I love these. You've also got numbers and some punctuation there. So I tied in that same background piece that we've used previously right here as well. And this one's just a little more masculine. On all of these pieces where the photos are, I just cut a 4x6 size of paper. My photos are cut down to 3 7/8. So there's that. We can maybe just stick it up here. And then here's the page that we just created. I've got my journaling spot here right on the page, and we've got our 4x4 flip flap. So this was all super fun to put together. Let's just flip through so you can see it all working. I really hope you enjoyed this video and you got some ideas. All of these page protectors and flaps and all that are in the description below. Anything that is still available, I do have linked below. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video and got some new ideas, give this video a like and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming scrapbooking videos. And be sure to check out the rest of the Creative Design Team projects. I've got the playlist linked right here so you can check out the ones that you have missed. Some of them have already posted, and then there's still a few more to post later this week, but they'll all be right in that playlist. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.